Hey, welcome to Happiness Bar. My goal is to share cocktails, content, and happiness. And today, we got a pretty interesting one coming for ya. This little spring craft cocktail is gonna be made with a Celery Infused London Dry Gin. We are going to make a Fennel Liqueur from scratch. We are going to make a pink peppercorn infused oil for garnishing. We're gonna make a Saline Solution. This is a salted celery and fennel martini, AKA the celery bitch, AKA big boy celery, AKA I didn't know what to call this cocktail, so we're probably just gonna stick with the salted celery and fennel martini, or salted celery and fennel gin martini, which is what it is. So I think that's gonna be pretty dope. I think it's gonna be cool. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into the prep work, because there's definitely a little bit of it today. All right, to start it off, and I know I shouldn't be pointing my knife like this, and I probably also shouldn't be wearing my hat looking like Luke out of Gilmore Girls. My wife loved that reference. We are going to start by making our Fennel Liqueur. Now, I'm doing this from scratch for a couple of reasons. A, I think it's gonna be awesome. B, it's hard to find a really good Fennel Liqueur other than Don Ciccio and Fagili, which is an aloe Fennel Liqueur, I think. I'm pretty certain. I haven't used it in a while, but it's hard to find. I couldn't find it at the liquor store. So I'm just gonna make a little Fennel Liqueur from scratch. Why not? So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by cutting the stalks off of this fennel bulb here, right? You got the stalks and the little fennel ferns. Cool. We're gonna set those aside. We're gonna use a little bit of everything here in this Fennel Liqueur. Now you got the bulb here. Now fennel has a very anise flavor, black licorice. If you're Italian and you had pizzelles growing up, that's kind of the flavor right there. So we're gonna cut that little end off there because we don't need that. And then I'm gonna cut this in half. And what we are going to do is cut as thin of slices as possible, because when we infuse this, we want as much surface contact between our fennel and our neutral grain spirit as possible. Okay, so that one's good. Watch those little fingies. Okay, so that is all cut up. Now we don't really need the stalks, but I do want these fennel fronds. So I'm gonna pull off the bushier fennel fronds. Grab all of them, as much as you can. Okay. All right, so we've got our fennel bulb, and we got our fennel fronds, which I'm just gonna give these one quick little pass with the knife just to break it up. Now, I already make sure I washed my fennel really well. You want to make sure you wash it really well because you don't want any dirt or grime or anything like that. Make sure you have some mason jars or glass storage jars of some sort that are washed really well and dried really well. You don't want any soap scum or anything like that. I'm going to take half of my fennel bulb. I'm splitting mine up into two. You can do it as a whole thing. I just don't think it's all gonna fit for me in these. All right, so we got half and half. And then I'm gonna take half my fennel fronds as well, throw that in there too. Now, we have this neutral grain spirit here. So this is basically a high proof vodka, essentially. I believe this one is 151 proof. That's what you're gonna need to infuse. And what I need is a 750. We're gonna split it in half, so we're gonna put 375 milliliters in each jar. There it is. So this I know is 375. So I'm just gonna dump it, cover my fennel, dump it, cover my fennel. I'm gonna seal these up, give them both good shakes. Ooh, there it is, baby. That is the start of our homemade Fennel Liqueur. And we're gonna let this infuse for 2 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks, I'll show you the rest of the steps on this Fennel Liqueur. All right, so you got your Fennel Liqueur going, that's infusing. The next thing you're going to want to get started is that pink peppercorn infused oil for garnish. Now this will take about a week, so you can start it now, strain it in a week and it'll be good, or you can wait a week into your Fennel Liqueur infusion and start it then. But either way, you gotta get that pink peppercorn infusion going. Got these pretty pink peppercorns here, and you also got some grapeseed oil. You're gonna want a neutral oil. Grapeseed oil works great for that. Grab ourselves a little container, and we are going to measure out a cup of grapeseed oil. quarter. That's about it. Next, we're gonna take about 3 tablespoons of these pink peppercorns, and we're just gonna coarsely crack them up. You don't wanna overdo it, but just enough. That should be good. All right, got a nice coarse grind on these pink peppercorns. So pretty. We're just gonna dump them into our oil. Be so careful if you use your finger, you don't touch your eyes. Give this a nice little shake. Blue tape, label and date it, and you're gonna store that in a nice, cool, dry place for a week. Allow those peppercorns to infuse. Give it a shake every so often when you walk by it. Same thing for that Fennel Liqueur. Give it a shake every so often when you walk by it. And we'll strain this out in a week, and we'll have this beautiful pink peppercorn oil to garnish our cocktail with. All right, so you got your Fennel Liqueur going. You got your pink peppercorns going. Now, the next thing we gotta do is we gotta get that Celery Infused Gin started. Now, you're gonna wanna wait till you have about 3 days left on your other infusions, because the Celery Gin's gonna take you 3 days. So, to start, we got these very nice, very fresh, organic celery stalks here. I made sure I rinsed them really, really well. You wanna make sure you have no dirt on these. And I'm just going to grab a scale and a container, zero that out, and I'm gonna cut the whites off of the celery. I'm not gonna need that. Okay, and we are going to chop up some celery here, some bigger pieces, because I'm gonna weigh out my 214 grams, and then I'm gonna slice it up real thin for the infusion. So we need 214 grams of our celery stalks here. 214 on the dot. Get rid of those. Let's go ahead and just chop our celery up real thin, again, to get as much surface contact between the celery and the liquor you're infusing in. All right, 214 grams. Celery, sliced thin. Now we're gonna measure out 250 milliliters of gin. Turn this the way it should be. Tell you what, we're actually gonna do 375 milliliters. Just to have a little extra, it'll still infuse beautifully. Grabbing a lid, grabbing some blue tape, label and date. We got our Celery Infused Gin started. Go ahead and store that in the refrigerator for 3 days, allow it to infuse, then we're gonna come back, strain it out, and our Celery Infused Gin will be ready to go. All right, guys, it's been 2 weeks. We have our Fennel Liqueur here that has been infusing for 2 weeks. I've been infusing it in the refrigerator. I have my Celery Gin that's been infusing for 3 days, and I have my pink peppercorn oil here that I've been infusing for a week. So everything is ready to go. I timed it out in a way in which everything will be ready to go on the same day, so we can just jump into making this cocktail. Let's go ahead and start first things first, right? I'm gonna start with the easiest thing, our Celery Gin. All right, so let's unseal this bad boy. Definitely got a little hint of the celery. Still, the gin is definitely on the nose. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just take a strainer. I'm gonna strain into this bottle just so I already have it bottled up. You can strain it back into another container, whatever you have. And with this celery gin, all we have to do is just strain it out. I think that's it. Let's try one of these. Ooh. Celery that tastes like gin, not good. Gin that tastes like celery, a lot better. All right, guys. So there it is, our Celery Infused Gin. You can see it has some of the sediment from the celery. If you had a centrifuge at home, you could probably spin it and pull out some of that sediment, but it'll be fine for the purpose of making these cocktails. Celery Infused Gin, done. Ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and label and date it. There it is. Pull it off your celery container that you were infusing in. Say your shelf life, you're good up to a month refrigerated on this. Next part to finish up, we are going to finish up that pink peppercorn infused oil. So I'm just gonna open her up. Oh yeah, she smells so peppery, so nice. And all we gotta do, grab a little strainer and strain it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanna get like the bigger pieces of peppercorn, but the real fine stuff that goes through the strainer, let's keep it, baby, because it's only gonna add a little more flavor and some pretty little pink peppercorn color. Set that aside. Let me grab our label off of the pink peppercorns. Label that up, seal that back up, and there it is, guys, our pink peppercorn oil we're gonna use for a little bit of garnishing on top of the cocktail. Your shelf life, you're good on that, guys, for as long as the oil will last. All right, now for the really cool thing, the thing I'm most excited about, our Fennel Liqueur that we are making from scratch. So with this, we are following the same process basically that we did with our orange cello, except we are fusing our Nutri-Grain spirit with fennel. That's been sitting for 2 weeks. You can see, definitely see the color that it has picked up. So I'll set those aside for a minute. The next thing we gotta do is we gotta make our simple syrup mixture. So we got the 750 milliliters of our Nutri-Grain spirit that's been infused with the fennel. Next, we are going to make a simple syrup that is 1,000 milliliters of water to 600 grams of sugar. So I'm gonna start with my scale. Make sure the scale is zeroed out. And let's weigh out our 600 grams of sugar. There it is, 600 grams of sugar. We're gonna add that into our pot. Now let's go ahead and measure out 1,000 milliliters of water. All right, there it is, 1,000 milliliters of water. We're gonna add that into our sugar. Crank that burner on, grab a bar spoon, give this a stir. Really make sure everything's well incorporated, and we want to bring this up to a simmer, allow all that sugar to dissolve, and we'll be ready to go. All right, guys, giving this one last stir. Make sure all that sugar is dissolved. We are looking good. Right, go ahead and get our simple syrup mixture here into some containers. A little easier to pour out of. Hey, so we got our simple syrup mixture going on here. We've got our infused Fennel Liqueur. I'm gonna go ahead and strain all my liqueur into this container here, and I'll mix up some of the sugar into it so you can see how the color changes with it, but then I'm gonna do it in a pot on the side to make sure I can fit everything. Smells great, man. Look at the color that it picked up from that fennel. Number 2. All right, so let's just see what happens when we add in our sugar mixture. Our liqueur here. See if it changes color at all, kind of like the orange cello. Doesn't look like it does. It gets a little more opaque. Let's give that a little stir. All right, well, I'm just gonna add everything, all the simple syrup mixture and this into the pot here. That way we can make sure it's properly sweetened and properly diluted. All this ratio here is gonna get us is a 36%, I believe, around ABV. All right, guys, so we got our entire simple syrup mixture mixed up with our infused Nutri-Grain spirit with the fennel. I went ahead and I strained it again with some cheesecloth off camera just to make sure I didn't spill it. It needed to be near a sink, and I just wanted to make sure I got all that extra fennel fronds out of there, but it looks nice, it looks clean. See the beautiful color from the fennel on there. Re-jarred it back into our labeled jars that we infused in so we know when we made it. I'd say your shelf life on this, guys, you are good for a few months. I'd store it in the refrigerator. Side note, you can serve it and use it for cocktails today, but if you allow it to sit in the refrigerator for 2 weeks, the flavors will really kind of mellow out and become perfect after about 2 weeks. But if you're antsy like I am, you can go ahead and start making cocktails with it today. And that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and just taste a little bit of this Fennel Liqueur on its own before I go making this cocktail, just to see if it's where I like it. And the color looks fantastic. Beautiful liqueur, man. Super. I love it. It's got that little bit of like fennel notes on it, which is perfect. That's what we were looking for. A nice homemade Fennel Liqueur. Because hey, man, they're hard to find. Like I said, the only one I know is that Don Figili and Ciccio. Don Ciccio and Figili. But this is beautiful, man. Yeah, notes of fennel, that anise flavor from it, has a beautiful green color, which is gonna make this cocktail look gorgeous. Perfect level of sweetness. It'll be great to be used to sweeten up this cocktail since there'll be no simple syrup in it. Awesome, guys. All right, there it is. Our Fennel Liqueur is done, long awaited. That Celery Gin is done. And our pink peppercorn infused oil for garnish is done. One last thing we gotta do for prep work. We just gotta make some saline solution. Grabbing my scale again. Make sure it's on grams, and place a container, zero it out. And we are going to make a 15% saline solution, so I'm gonna do 15 grams of salt here. 15 grams of salt. I'm gonna add that into my pot, and I'm gonna do 100 grams of water. 100 grams of water into the pot with the salt. Crank the burner on. Grabbing a bar spoon, just gonna give it a little stir. Just gonna get it up, you know, hot enough to where all that salt dissolves, and then we will throw it in a storage container. Grabbing a container while that's going, let's go ahead and label and date it real quick. One last stir, make sure all the salt's dissolved. Looking good. I'm gonna turn it off the heat. Pour it up into a container. Put a lid on it, and there it is, guys, your saline solution. You can store this in the fridge. That's what I like to do, even though it's not necessary. I just throw all my stuff in there. You can also store it just in a cool, dark cabinet. Shelf life on this. I don't like to keep things longer than a month. That's why I make small batches, things like this. But it really won't go bad, so do what you want with it. All right, guys, that's it for all the prep work today. Let's go ahead and jump into making the Celery and Fennel Gin Martini. So this is gonna be a stirred cocktail. First thing we're gonna need is our mixing glass, and we're gonna need our jigger. We're also gonna need our glassware. All right, so our cheapest and most expensive ingredients. We are going to do 1 dash of saline solution, and we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of our homemade Fennel Liqueur, 2 ounces of our Celery Infused Gin. Grab some ice. Fill this up over the liquid. Grabbing our bar spoon, stirring for 20 seconds. Hawthorne strainer. Strain this bad boy up. Then, our pretty little garnish. Let's go ahead and do 3 these pink peppercorn oil drops. 1, 2, and 3. And there you have it, guys, our Celery and Fennel Gin Martini. All right, let's taste. Let me get that celery and fennel, that kind of like anise and herbaceous note on the nose. Yeah, wow. Celery came in at the back end there, caught me by surprise. It's this lovely balance of like dry and sweetness. It's very clean and has a very like vegetal note to it. That celery really does sneak in there at the last minute. And that fennel is really, really beautiful, the way in which it pairs with the gin and the celery. And when you get a little hit of that pink peppercorn oil on a sip, it just like changes the flavor profile of the cocktail just enough, just a little bit. It adds a little bit of pepperiness, which is nice because it balances and matches with that little bit of salinity in the cocktail. This is a truly interesting little riff on the martini, baby. It's kind of Vesper-esque in a way. It's clean like a Vesper. Has some beautiful, bold flavors though. That fennel and that celery, the pink peppercorn all pair together wonderfully. This would make for a great aperitif cocktail, just something to kind of cleanse the palate before a meal, something to kind of just get you started. I love the vegetal notes on it. It really is just nice and bold and lovely. Really a cool martini, man. Something different. I've never drinking anything like this anywhere before. Celery and fennel, a little pink peppercorn, a little bit of salt, baby, comes together, cleanses the palate, leaves behind a beautiful, wonderful flavor, a beautiful bouquet of flavor. There it is, guys, the Celery and Fennel Gin Martini. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Maybe you made it along with me. Maybe you wrote it down, save for a later date. But either way, let me know how you're liking everything. And as always, guys, become a regular somewhere. Become a regular at your local watering hole. It's the best way to support local business. Become a regular here at Happiness Bar by liking, commenting, subscribing. Hit that bell if you want notifications. We got cocktail videos coming out every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern to get you ready for the weekend. Stay happy, everyone.